Beardy and the Beast, the second wall.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Welcome to the Second Wall, a binge-free zone where we will look at a series and discuss it in small chunks, similar to water cooler conversations of old. We can be found on most podcast and social media platforms, a full list of which can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Today we'll be discussing the Netflix series Squid Game. With me, of course, is Drew. Please feel free to join the conversation in the comments below.
You don't trust people here because you can. You do it because you don't have anyone else.
I kind of liked that line, actually.
It was really good. It allowed me to understand that 456 is not just a fool.
Mhm.
Like he actually kind of understands things that are going on right now.
Yeah. And just, to make you sound super smart again, um, that line, I was immediately like, nope, Drew was right about the daughter. Like,
Oh,
with that being just that thing that was bothering me, like just that line, that reaching out to 67
mm.
immediately made me actually go, like,
Well,
connect it.
I mean, like I could still be proven wrong there, but
Yeah.
it just, the writing seems okay, but it
Mhm.
does seem good enough that they would have considered that.
Yeah.
And of course, if anyone is wondering what we're referencing, I think it was a theory I had from episode one, where I thought the reason why he seemed like he didn't care about his daughter is because he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But his actions kind of spoke otherwise, but there was also conflicting there. So we're still waiting on the jury on this one.
Yeah.
Because I think it can still go either way, but I think, I mean, the way that story resolution goes, it doesn't really have another way to
Yeah.
go but him
Yeah.
being redeemed as the father.
Yeah. I do think there might have been a double, like, this actually just clicked with me. I think there might have been a double meaning with that line too.
Hmm.
Um, because I am convinced he doesn't trust 218 anymore. 218?
Yeah,
Yeah,
218.
yeah, yeah, 218. He just their interaction right at the beginning of the episode. It's like he knows exactly what happened.
Well, that's my thing. I still have this theory that it was actually 456 that got the good scores, and 218 stole his test or something.
Yeah,
Um, so my current thought, I mean, I might just be uh going wild with this theory, but I really do think 456 is very smart.
yes.
It's the only thing that makes sense. Speaking of 218, do you think so? When he saw 456 had made it,
Mhm.
I mean, the acting was on point for like this 2 seconds. Like you could see the relief on his face.
Yeah,
So I mean, like props to the actor on that because I he sold it. I mean, it's I don't think it's a little late for that, but
yeah.
do you think they're gonna try to do like a mini redemption arc?
So I actually thought they were. I almost thought they were starting it right off the bat there, but then kind
Mm,
of yeah. Um, specifically when they're like just in the brawl, for lack of better term, the bloodbath. I thought they were kind of doing something there, and I almost expected like 218 to go down there defending them or something. But I don't think they didn't build on that, so I wasn't completely convinced that that's what they were trying to do there. But
hmm.
it could be sowing the seeds for it.
I'm I mean, I could see it right now being a situation where like uh 218's dying and 456 is like over him and he has that last confession
Yeah.
and like a false redemption. So he's
Mm,
like admitting that he did 456 wrong.
yeah.
But I mean, that's not absolution, you know?
Yeah.
I think, actually, you know what? Given the tone of the story, I think that's how 218 is going to die.
Mm.
Of course, what was the, refresh me on the theory I had. Was it,
I think the theory we came up with was yeah.
Oh, he
218 ended up taking everything, and
yeah, 218 being the twist
yeah,
last contestant.
yeah, yes,
And I would hate it. I would hate it so much I would love it. It
yeah,
depends on how it was written, but
yeah, yeah. It's the thing. I think we kind of talked about that when we came up with that theory. Was yeah, I could see myself being satisfied with that because I think they could do it in the right way.
mhm.
Like, like so the twist that I would do with that to have him happen. So you have that same dying in the arms thing, and you have 456 going, "I forgive you," and just like I could see that being really interesting with the character, just like twisting that knife of knowing you've basically screwed your friend out of everything. And
Oh no, I'm going like way out left field here. I'm not sold on this, but I just thought of it.
Mhm.
456 knows, and instead of I forgive you, he gives a I know.
Mm,
And that would mean going back every time he mentioned 218 going to SNU
mm,
as being like a reminder of how he
mm.
was screwed over. So like 456 actually being vindictive about it. I mean, I'm not sold on this,
Oh,
but I would love that more.
that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, since we're on the character, I gotta get this off my chest. 240, new girl in town,
Mm.
my style, 100%. You see that like fully aloof, doesn't
Mm.
care.
Yep.
All she's got to do is have a dog and a motorbike, and whew.
Yep. Yep. I see that.
I mean, it's sad she's gonna die.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, but I mean, there's a strong there's a strong possibility most of them are gonna die.
Yeah, I'm not stoked for the Game of Thrones moments where like the primary characters start getting offed.
Yeah. Well, is that I'm not quite as familiar with the general story structure from Korean media, but I I see like if the main characters are gonna get offed, if we go with the redemption thing, it's gonna be 218, 212. They're gonna be the ones that or that I see as the main characters in 101 that are gonna get killed.
Hmm.
Or it's gonna be all of the protagonists that get killed. Right. So 456, 1, which I'm pretty sure is gonna die at some point. Still, 199, right? Uh, I, I
I had
I
this.
don't know if they would split it or if they would go with all of one side.
Maybe the last person standing is the detective.
Well, the detective's not part of the game, though, right?
Yeah, I'm just throwing this out there, just like a little thought I had.
All right.
I, I would hate it. I don't think it could be written in good, but like if we look at this from a battle royale stance,
Mm,
having that last person standing and having it be someone who wasn't even participating in the game in the first place.
yeah.
Um, I'm stoked though. 199 didn't die.
Yep.
Uh, he's quickly grown to be my favorite character. Is
Yeah.
like um, what was the term that you had used for him and 6-7?
um,
Not redeeming, but
they were.
sympathetic. They're
Yes,
sympathetic
they were the only
characters.
sympathetic ones.
Um, like he's doing it for money for his family and like his newborn.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, 6-7's doing it for um, effectively to get her parents and whatnot. I won't make light of that struggle, but if she saw past that, she's capable enough. She should be able to take care of her brother.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be sad when he dies.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's true. So, uh, I want to talk about the cop kit just for a second, just because we mentioned it here.
Yeah,
For the life of me, I cannot figure out how he hasn't been caught, or if they know and they're just letting him do whatever he wants.
I think. Well, he was only scanned the once, and the person who scanned him died. So it's weird that such an intricate operation doesn't have routine scannings. Like they all scan when they exit the door. That's like a weird kind of loophole that you kind of the cop's presence doesn't make sense if they were to do that. But
Well, there's that. I mean, he ended up having another mask.
yeah, he got it from the old 2.8.
Yeah, right. There's the whole aspect of them going, oh, 29 didn't, like, the guy didn't show up for his duty and stuff like that. It's like, you know where he is. It's,
Well, in that particular scene, those are people who are going behind their company's back, right?
mm,
So that the only times that they can interact are with many witnesses,
mm,
except uh, during these illicit meetings.
yeah,
Um, they're the loosest plot line is the cop. I'm
yeah,
just trying to make it all fit, not
yeah,
make differences.
yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's, and I think I said this even when they introduced him. It's like, but why though? Like, it's just a character that I don't think needs to be there, and especially where we're seeing stuff from like 111. I know you called him out last episode too. Now we're seeing what he is. So obviously not a plant, but has ties,
Yeah, the organ
and
harvesting.
yeah, and they could have used that enough to show what's happening on the guard side instead of having this random guy that's just making me go, you're creating so many plot holes with how this is done that I don't understand it.
There is, from my experience, there is a bit of a uh, there's a bit of a trope in Korean cinema. It's the handsome police officer. It's was it handsome police officers and then flicks like John Wick.
Mm,
So like you get like these weird uh high body count revenge stories.
right. Okay.
So I'm thinking that I mean if I were to look at it from a production standpoint, it would be them like, oh we need the handsome actor to come in to you know draw in buzz.
Right.
But I mean his acting's fine. It's just the
Yeah.
writing around his character.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, yeah, it's not his acting, it's the holes he has it around the characters. The way this organization is, like, it, it puts V for Vendetta to shame for the cameras everywhere. And he's hasn't been caught, has, even though he's been out of place, and they're gonna recognize that, hey, this person isn't where they're supposed to be, and right. So it's, that's where my issue lies, not with the character, with the plot around the character.
Hmm. They did have that super cool scene though, when he put on the square mask and then he like before the brawl, and he
Yeah,
looked to the side, and then there was the guards in the elevator, and they like split so they he could stand there.
yeah,
I was like, I just thought it was a really cool scene, especially with the what the guards represent and the fact that they were wearing this like these bright pink jumpsuits
mhm,
is been so, a fact that I've enjoyed about.
mm,
It's it's weird that like we haven't been seeing them like cycle between colors
yeah,
because I would expect there to be some weird meaning in that,
mm.
like the way that this is structured. I'm still there's gonna be some like math genius who figures out the pattern of the numbers.
Oh, probably. Yeah, we talked about that before too. Um, all right, so the next bit of characters, gonna move on. I'm gonna kind of treat them as a unit here. Is what was it, 212 and 101?
Yeah,
So I am not surprised in any way that they hooked up. I'm not surprised in any way that 212 took control of the situation. I am surprised at how quickly 101 betrayed her.
I think it was clear to me that they were uh, both using each other.
Yes.
That he wasn't convinced at all, and she was manipulating him, and he knew it. I think the shortness of the series is what played with that turnaround.
That's probably what it was. I just
But
figured it'd be another episode. Like, give it an episode to let that relationship actually build
mm,
and then have it, right? Because basically it was the end of episode 3. So, like, the first third of episode 4. I just expect it's the exact situation I expected to happen, right? One of them was going to betray the other. It was very obvious. They're both snakes. They're that there's that toxic relationship between them that I can see playing out very well, right? It's just that they're the antithesis of how 67 and 456 are being shown.
mm,
And like, yeah, I know they didn't trust each other. I knew that they were toxic to each other. Just it's one of those relationships that would make sense to stick around because you're just going to get such an interesting dynamic out of it that could make for good antagonistic forces between the quote unquote villains of the series and our protagonists.
yeah, I'm wondering the way that it ended to me, and of course, so just like hypothetical thinking about it from like the writers or the production standpoint, it almost seems like he started doing the thing and then went, no, this ain't it.
Yeah.
And then just like get rid of it. Because it allows you to almost like a character development point for 101, mind you, unneeded one,
Mm.
but it allows you to see we'll throw anyone under the bus to get through this.
Yeah, it's
Again,
just it
unneeded.
wasn't yeah, exactly. It's unneeded. Like, no, that's how the character is. You didn't change anything with the character. Keeping her with him knowing what the game was would have actually been some sort of possible development around the character,
Yeah.
right?
Something.
Showing you can have that bit of relationship and then throw her under the bus, or her throw him under the bus. Either either works.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
wondering maybe she's just going to be a thorn in 101 side, an obstacle. And that's why like we'd have to see the next episode,
yeah,
but I can anticipate that I think she will be the cause of his death
yeah.
because I don't see him making it out.
I don't either. Uh, which kind of leads to another point because I agree she's going to be the cause of his death, or he's going to be the cause of his own death.
Hmm.
Right, right. He's just going to get some just hubris or something is going to get him. But now she's forced her way into 456 group.
Yeah.
So is that something that's going to stick? Is she going to find a way to betray them? Like it's almost adding by them not continuing with 101, it's almost adding like this other layer of complexity in the dynamics that I don't think is needed because I don't think we're going to get any real payoffs from it. We expect her to be a snake, a temptress, or something like that. So, but she could do that outside of the group. How is it going to change when it's in the group, especially when we've already got questions with 218 there?
Honestly, I think the way this series was written, it seems to me that they had a start and a finish. 456 with and maybe like a couple of the other characters
Mm-hmm.
were there and they knew exactly where it was going to start and exactly how it's going to end.
Yeah.
And they needed to fill that, so they just create a list of numbers with character archetypes, and then theory craft until you get from point A to point C.
Yeah.
Um, and that might be like there's something weird about the writing in this
Mm.
that really makes me think that might be the case.
Mm. Yeah, it's one of those things where I go, is there is there tropes that I don't know because I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with the media? I've mentioned that many a time. Um, or I don't know. This kind of don't. I mean, it's like they're trying to mimic the metagaming of reality TV shows
mm.
without the actual build up that you get around that when you in something like Survivor, where they show kind of the backstabbing but they form their alliances really strongly at first. Like 218 and 456 would be a good example of how a reality TV show story arc
Yeah.
would be between two characters. And it's almost like they're throwing her in there to be doing that same type of thing, but missing the mark by, again, pulling her away from 101 too soon.
There was a moment in this where it kind of reminded me of this Korean show called The Genius.
Okay.
There's a couple seasons of it. Quick synopsis. I think there's a payout at the end, and it's a series of uh, games, and you get eliminated from the games. It's not quite like Survivor because it's all strategy games.
Right.
Like there's a series of rules, and it's how there's the social manipulation and the rule manipulation and how it affects. Then you have two people who become contestants for elimination, and they go to an elim game,
Yep.
and they compete against each other in the elim game, and then of course somebody's eliminated. Um, Honestly, you should check it out because there's a lot of like sweet rule crafting in there. I'll, I'll I know a legitimate place that you can get it, so
All right.
yeah, I think you'd be really interested in it. At least season 2 and 3. Season 1 is kind of eh.
Yeah, the concept sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
So, um, um, okay, so I think that's kind of the core character stuff that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if you had.
No, it's well. I mean, this is mostly about the characters. I guess that brings us to Tug of War.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed during the fight in the sleeping area,
Mhm.
and I almost want to go back and see if they did this in other ones, but where 67 and 101 were fighting, there was there was a mural behind them
Hmm.
of tug of war.
Oh, so little clues like that.
Yeah, it was like I noticed it and I actually rewinded it a couple times to make sure I actually saw it right. Because at this point, of course, I didn't know what the game was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but I saw that, rewinded it a couple times, and I'm like, huh, that's the game. Yeah, it makes me wonder if there were other things like that. But of course, not being familiar with all of the games, like the Man with the Umbrella, I would have no idea. I wouldn't have recognized something like that necessarily in the murals, but
Yeah, that's a
makes me
very
wonder if
like
they're there.
that is definitely something more particular to that region of the world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I didn't notice anything like that. I just
Yeah.
know that I knew it was Tug of War as soon as they started forming teams because I watched a trailer
Mm,
and my brain pieces things together contextually, so I just instantly went, "Oh, it's probably the Tug of War episode."
yeah.
And dang,
Yeah.
I, d- I
So,
I do like how the big strategy, like this like Deus Ex Machina of a strategy. It felt like, and it was going, and it was working, and then all of a sudden, like it wasn't working. It was legitimately like physical ability does matter in some circumstances.
so it's interesting. Um, as soon as I heard it's tug of war, because I know we want to talk about what is our like, would we survive this?
Yeah.
And other than the fact that they gave us a cliffhanger for no good reason, um, I have to make the assumption that they
Hmm.
win.
Crazy show if they don't.
Yeah, their strategy was my exact strategy
Oh.
because look, almost exact. Because my immediate strategy was you don't need to be the strongest. You just need to have the endurance.
Hmm.
Make the other team tire themselves out, and then do a lurch forward to make them lose balance,
Which they're doing.
and then pull rhythmically.
Yeah. Which they've already
It was
established that they can do. Like, so yeah, this is, I don't know any of those. All I know is I would need to make sure my center of gravity is lower than there.
well that's where some of it came from because way back when I was now I was the same size as I was now, but much younger.
Mm.
I was a wrestler,
Yeah.
and I mean to get your center of gravity lower than theirs, they essentially did that, and but they just changed the weighting in a way by doing the lean back.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that it came to winning matches, especially because I was in like kind of a weight class, like I'm on the higher end of the weight classes, and which means I could be facing guys that are a lot bigger than me,
Yeah. Yeah.
which happened. So my strategy, I mean, let you tire yourself out.
Mm,
I can hold this position. You're exerting the effort. I'm resting. So that's what immediately came to mind. And the rowing, and I basically thought of rowing
yeah,
for the rhythmic pulling. So I'm just like, that's gonna be hard. You concentrate all of your force. So even if you've got weaker people, you kind of get that little ebb and flow that can help you move. And most people are just going to be pulling with all their strength and no coordination.
yeah.
And from rowing, that doesn't work. So that's kind of why I thought of that. The only thing I didn't think of was I didn't even enter my mind to stagger along the rope.
Makes
Like,
sense because you're widening your stance.
yeah,
You're becoming like a much more stable unit widthwise.
yeah. As soon as they said it, I'm like, oh no, it makes perfect sense they're doing.
Yeah.
But um,
Well, especially when
so
they're locking the rope in um, at their armpit, the
yeah,
way that the hand, it's taking most of the arm strength out of it, right?
yeah,
So you're using the arm strength just to maintain hold, and
yeah,
then you're using the rest of your body, which is much stronger.
yeah,
Especially for guys
um,
like us who got like real good legs.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's
You get
pretty much like hope we don't go against the team of all the big dudes.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Granted, you
And
probably would have died in the Umbrella Man one, so I probably wouldn't have had
yeah,
the strategy here, and then I would die.
yeah. Um, the only part that I saw strategy that the biggest hole in their strategy was the leaning back.
Hmm.
They should have definitely focused on lowering their weight, their center of mass. But with the leaning back part, they throw their center of mass off balance. The only reason they're staying up is because the other team is pulling.
Yeah,
All the other team needed to do was take the single step forward.
yeah.
If they did that, they would have been gone.
What they should have done is had 1 foot forward and then 1 foot like behind them bent.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they didn't need the parallel part. That's a strategy that works that I think would work very well from the kid side, like O1's side, where he's talking about this is how I did it when I was a kid. Like, okay, that makes sense because kids aren't necessarily going to think that. But
yeah,
I mean, like getting people off balance is such a big thing that
well, it's gonna pay off here. They're gonna fall
yeah,
and they're gonna kill 10 people.
yeah.
And it's about to happen.
Yep.
Uh,
It
yeah. I even wrote down because I thought it was funny. They're legitimately on the precipice of this giant drop, and I wrote down, "Dang, cliffhanger."
so I wrote why the I wrote why the cliffhanger. Lol, I see what I did there.
Yeah, I think this show is self-aware enough that they know what they did.
Yeah. Um yeah, I think one other interesting thing with this game in particular is this is the first game that they've had where your team you have to actively kill someone else, which kind of threw me off a little bit, um, especially because of the way the rules were read.
Yeah, it seemed odd to me as well. What didn't seem odd to me was the meta game where the brawl was expected
Yes,
and intentional. So like that made sense to me,
yes,
but I expected it to be continued. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The metagame part, yeah, that was. I I'm su- I'm surprised that so few people died,
Yeah.
but I'm also surprised at how many people immediately jumped into the the killing. I kind of expected a little bit of a. I actually expected almost nothing to happen.
Well, after like even the more passive people after that brawl, like the people who rose to the occasion when they were like actually under threat of murder,
Yeah,
uh, would finally understand like what extent they're gonna have to go to.
yeah. I yes, that brawl, like I expected that, and expected the brawl was exactly what I wanted. And the way the rules were in Tug of War, like they specifically say all you need to do is make them fall. My immediate thought was make them trip and fall.
Mm.
Right? Like, would the game be over if they take those 3 steps forward, they all fall? Oh, I wonder if they'll do that.
The thing is,
Oh, I hope
the
they'll do
lose.
that because they never say they have to fall off the platform. They say you have
True.
to make them fall.
One caveat though,
Mhm.
the way that they do the rules in this, yes, I think that'll end the game for that team. I think the team that falls will be shot
I
because
don't disagree with that.
they lost the game, right?
I hope that that's how they go with it
Was
because I I don't know exactly how I'll feel about our coterie being directly responsible, being actively responsible for the other team's death.
yeah, I hope they go this way.
Yeah, because that immediately came to my mind when they had.
Well, with that, should watch the next episode and actually see.
Yeah. Thanks for huddling around the second wall with us here tonight. Join us next time as we continue our discussion on Squid Game. Please join the conversation in the comments, in social media, or on our Discord, as we would love to continue the conversation there. Again, a full list can be found at beardyandthebeast.com. Thank you, and have a great night.